Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you're having a great day. If you've been watching Larry's Anything Goes programming, you know that we are not only providing great financial intelligence content as much as possible by interviewing other financial professionals, professionals in the travel industry, real estate industry, etc., and so forth, but we provide various services when it comes to specific products that we sell, from anything that you would actually find on Amazon or actually at Walmart, etc., and so forth. And we are actually providing specific products due to today's current crisis and whatnot to ensure that we provide the right services and products that you need at a reasonable price when it comes to medical face masks, when it comes to hand sanitizer, and when it comes to latex gloves and things of that nature, and etc., and so forth, toilet paper, paper towels. But we have what you need. Also, family, don't forget that Larry's Anything Goes is a part of an affiliate marketing network known as Gold Standard Partners, where you have the opportunity to buy cryptocurrency and allow others to invest with you as becoming an affiliate marketing partner. And obviously, if they purchase a package with the program, you're able to make money off their package purchases and make money off of their crypto purchases and things of that nature. If you want to join, please follow the links in the description, and I'll give you a call as soon as you sign up and purchase a package, and we'll go from there. But definitely, it's all about the best way to make money moves is to have currency with one another and to ensure that currency is always being spoken of on all levels, so it benefits everyone and not just one specific person. That's a lot of things that people forget about. So think about joining the program, and we'll be able to go from there. But if not, either way, it's always appreciated. And thank you for watching. And hopefully you guys have a great day and continuously make money moves so you don't live broke like a fool. Take care. As you can see, with our various products, we have our financial apparel. As you see, wearing There's Anything Goes t-shirt, financial intelligence is sexy, face masks, latex gloves, things of that nature, to obviously ensure the safety of you and your family all at the same time. We want to ensure that you get the best products and see the actual products that we're actually providing for you, and giving you another view of not only the shirts and the medical masks, but actually another view of actual latex gloves and the actual hand sanitizer. Because one thing we've learned throughout this unfortunate crisis is that we have to take more precautionary measures to ensure not only the safety for ourselves, but for our families. And having a great pair of hand sanitizers, latex gloves, and medical face masks will ensure that safety. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys will check out our online store. We have the various products that you see here. With a couple of clicks, especially if you're paying via PayPal, it makes life that much easier for you to purchase our various products, especially during this unfortunate situation. You see the apparel from Larry's Anything Goes. We have the medical products when it comes to hand sanitizer, latex gloves, medical face masks, things of that nature, and various other products. So please check out Larry's Anything Goes. Support small local businesses. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully that you have a good day. How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys having a great and exceptional night. All right, we're talking about my favorite subject matter, money, and we're talking about it in a way to where it's an interesting paradigm, and for a lot of people, they usually don't think about it when when they get impregnated, or even when they get impregnated like 1,000 times and whatnot. I'm not gonna, I'm not a parent, so I'm not gonna speak from a parent's perspective at all. Um, but I remember having this conversation 15 years ago with a person, with an individual who's very smart, intelligent, and we were talking about. This is like back in 2003, four time frame. We were talking about the cost of raising a child, and that was back then. And inflation wasn't crazy. The economy was somewhat decent back then. Um, before the economic downturn of 2007 and 8 time frame. But I remember having that conversation. And then I read this article today where it got into the meat and potatoes of what it costs to raise a child. Am I saying people should not have children? No. Am I saying I know what it's like to have a child? No. So I'm not getting into the aspects of parenting and the loving your children. You're supposed to love them. You have them. You love them. You take care of them. These are basic things. People have been doing this since before there was running water, and before there was indoor plumbing, and before there was freaking electricity, before there was a thing called health insurance, before there was a thing called government, or even corporations. People have been raising families since the beginning of time. So I leave it at that. But to me, this is a very interesting subject matter for one specific reason, and that specific reason is, um, most times people. I always say this: most people don't get it, and it's just a lack of education and a lack of wanting to be educated in certain aspects. Now, I love the fact that the financial intelligence movement is growing in a big, big, big way nowadays. I do love that. No, no regret about that whatsoever. However, even in today's information age of 2022, most working people know more about video games and um, sports entertainment than they actually do of when it boils down to how not only money works outside of owning it and spending it, but and possibly just saving it or whatnot, but how to make it in your sleep, and also the financial ramifications of doing certain things in life. Having a family, having children. I know a gentleman who has three kids and a wife. Wife doesn't work. I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna give my personal opinion on it. Well, forget I will. I think she should be working, but that's his life, his family. But he's the main one that's always complaining about the cost of this and the cost of that. He's the main one that's always complaining about, oh, I got a family, so I can't do this. So he a lot of times he has essentially made his life harder, but nobody, and when he complains about it, I laugh at him, and I shouldn't, but I do, because I'm like, look, you're an adult, you chose this life. No one put a gun to your head, said you had to have a family. So because he'll always say, well, Larry, you don't understand, you don't have a family. I said, well, it's crazy, it's called personal choice. I know it's a crazy concept, but it's just called personal choices. You make choices in this life, you live with them, whether they're good choices or bad choices, but called a personal choice. All right. And I look at the economics behind everything, because whether people want to believe it or not, in America, it all revolves around the dollar. To quote Cornell West, he said, I'm not saying anything bad about the United States. I'm just quoting one thing that he stated. I remember a long time ago, back in 2006, 7 time frame. He said, America in itself was a corporation before it was a country, hence capitalism. All right. Anything wrong with capitalism? No. When you understand the economics and the dynamics of it, it's a game that you can win on various different levels. There's various different winners, even though it's a game of winners and losers. But as I always say, a lot of my immigrant counterparts, they show how you can make money moves in any economy, good or bad, if you have the tightness of family, one, and two, the tightness of family, understanding that they have to operate as a corporation and not operate just having a nice last name and being fancy dancy, and trying to outshine each other. Because to me, that's the old paradigm of the American concept. And because the way that people look at family throughout the world is in various different things. I mean, it's in various different ways, and I understand it and I respect that. However, when families are not operating as corporations and are just operating as basic leave it to beaver 1955, I find that to be very economically problematic in today's world, and I just leave it at that. Okay, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes. I've given my perspective on it, but the fact that this article was talking about its cost $310,000 needed to raise a child, it's very deep. So let's get into it. It's very, very, very deep, and I was very, very surprised at that. I mean, I know it's expensive to take care of another human being, but for most working people in today's world, it's a different story for a different day, and I'll get into that later. But let's get into it. The Brookings Institute says that it would cost a married, so we're talking about a two-income household here, cost a married couple, married middle-income couple with two children, so not just one child, two children, and that's what most parents usually have. They usually, I mean, couples usually have at least two. Um, it cost them about $310,000 to raise the younger child to age 17. Had they been born in 2015, the Wall Street Journal reported. Now that is very interesting. The amount does not account for college nor for the income levels, but it does look at the cost of housing, food, clothing, healthcare, and childcare. Because you got to think, breaking it down to the economics, not taking the love away that you have for your child. That's a very normal thing. So put on your money cap and not your "I love my children" cap. We know that, we understand that you're supposed to, and I'm glad you do. If you're a great parent, I'm glad you're a great parent. Put on your money cap. Take your feelings out of it. Like I said, when people talk about politics, talk about the money, and you won't really ever see yourself as a Democrat or a Republican. That's just my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, it looks at the cost of living, housing, clothing, healthcare, childcare. This is expensive for one individual nowadays. I can just imagine. I've been to the grocery store and I've seen a parent pay up to $400 or $500 to feed their family and whatnot per week. That's a lot. So when you do the math on that per week, or at least every 2 weeks and whatnot, that's a lot of money. You know, I mean, say if it was 2 weeks, every 2 weeks you have to pay up to $400. So that's $400 and some change. It's almost $900 a month and whatnot. So for some people that's rent, and for a lot of people, that's it's various other bills and things of that nature. So that's just something to take into consideration. You know what I mean? The group took a government average and adjusted it for inflation trends because obviously, inflation has been a mother, especially these last couple of years since 2020 with the pandemic and things of that nature. The analysis used an average inflation rate of 2.23%, which is close to what the United States Department of Agriculture's expenditures on children by families report produced in 2017, used for the years spanning 2015 through 2020, then added an additional 1.77% starting in 2021. This is reported by Fox News and The Hill. All right. The United States Department of Agriculture estimated that the cost of raising a child born between 2015 and 20 was about $233,000. That was reported by Fox News. Breaking it down, it will currently cost more than $18,000 a year, or 9% more than the previous estimates the journal reported. So, like I said, you're going off $18,000 a year, and obviously up to the age of 18. So that says a lot right there. You know what I mean? And the main reason why I'm talking about this before I even get into it, um, this is why this is why United States trying to have some sexual discipline is what's going to be needed. I know people don't want to hear that. We live in a free country. I should be able to do whatever I want. You shouldn't have ever place limitations on me. And it's your life. You're going to do what you're going to do. I'm not saying that, but my mindset is I think it behooves, especially working people. It's one thing when your money's right and having a child, just, because you had the heat of the moment. When you know your money's right, that takes half the stress off, because obviously whether the child has a physical or mental deform handicap or something to that effect, whether the child doesn't make through the birth. There's always these clearly normal things that are running through the parent's mind, especially the mother's mind, because she's carrying the child. So you got to give enough love and respect to that. And I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just saying, I'm offering some advice saying, hey, it would behoove, especially the people that are age 18 and 20. I'm 39 years old, to have more sexual discipline. Crazy concept called birth control and condoms or whatnot. I'm not trying to get too involved, or abstinence is a beautiful thing as well. I'm not trying to get too much in the weeds of it all and whatnot, but I believe my generation, the 80s babies, were the last generation that's one going to be could afford to be a little sexually reckless, um, meaning, just continuously having babies after babies. Obviously, you love your children, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But when I say sexually reckless, I mean not thinking of the financial implications of what can happen by just continuously having a bunch of babies. You get the one child, that's on you. Keep having them, and your money's not right. And when I say right, I'm not talking about being rich and whatnot, but I'm talking about having a savings account, having decent credit, having access to capital, having multiple streams of income, you know, things of that nature. More and more people are becoming financially savvy in that aspect, and they understand that. They know. I never forget this one woman. She's a quote unquote Instagram model, TikToker, and she was live, and she was like, yeah, she was tired. I think she's a nurse at a hospital or something to that effect. And she was like, yeah, she's like, I got to make multiple streams of income because I can't be working my whole life. She knows this, and she looked like she could be in her late 30s, early to mid 40s and whatnot, but she gets it. And more people are understanding that because there's no such thing as a pension plan anymore. The previous generation before millennials, you had the Gen Xers, you had the baby boomers, and they were the last of the generations to be able to have pension plans with a job. Those days are over with. That's why you had the big great resignation when it comes to the job market, because most people know in order for them to get a better paying job, they have to quit their job and find another job and negotiate the salary. That's been going on for over 20 years now. So that's why a lot of times employers have a hard time retaining people, especially if they're not giving people raises, access, chances to get promoted, or even giving them bonuses and things of that nature, giving them that economic incentive, plus making it a decent work environment, giving them that economic incentive and whatnot for them to be able to increase their income, because this is a generation that knows you cannot afford to live in a stagnant mindset when it comes to your money. Your money has to grow, whether you live in Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Florida, New York, California. It doesn't matter anymore. There used to be a time where people could say, "Yeah, I'll go to Alabama. It's cheaper down there, and all that great stuff." Okay, great, but the cost of living still going up. It might not be DC or New York standard, but the cost of living still going up. You can run to a cheap state, but your cost of your salary still needs to increase. All right, we don't live in that might have been true 10 years ago. That is not true in 2022. Your salary has to increase, your savings need to increase, and your access to capital needs to increase, and obviously your assets need to increase. That's the time frame that we're living in, especially for a family who's trying to raise two children. It's going to cost over $300,000 within a child's lifetime and whatnot. Okay, and that's just what it is. So trying to be more, I like to call sexually and financially disciplined. Try not to have kids in your late teens and early 20s. I'm not knocking people that did. It is what it is. You do what you do. But I'm saying I'm not talking about the people who've done that. I'm talking about for the people who have not. I'm talking to the young 20 somethings and the people that are 18 and 19 years old. I'm talking to them. I'm not talking to people that are my age, maybe a little younger, a little older. You've done what you've done. Let's move on with our lives. Let's be adults about it. I'm talking about the ones who are in a position to not do that, so they can work on getting their money right, getting their skill sets up, working on their health, working on their wealth. So when they actually decide to want to, have children, get married, and all that great stuff, their money, their finances are right. They're in a career. They got a successful job. They're more mature to enable and to the point where they can afford these things, and then so that way they don't get being stuck in a poorhouse and having to be raised on Section 8. And which, if you were, I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying, and be in a position to where you're surrounded by people who are thinking like-minded. Because like I said, the days of being around bum-minded people are over with. And I hope that, and I'm really talking to the people that are in high school and college right now, or even in that age bracket, even if you graduated from high school, if you're not in college, but you went to trade school, or you got your own business, or you're in the military, whatever have you. I'm talking to that demographic, because you guys are in a position where you have a chance to make multiple streams of income, whether it's online, whether it's brick and mortar, multiple ways for you to invest your money, things of that nature. But you got to be financially, mentally savvy in order for you to understand the game. There's so many ways. Like, if I had YouTube coming out of high school, I think I would be much more further along in life, because I wouldn't have paid attention to all the minutia that happens on television and online. You know what I mean? Um, and I just leave it at that. So this generation that's coming up now, they have an opportunity to do more things. They're going to make mistakes, of course. Nobody's perfect. Every generation makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes at all ages and all races and all places. I get that and understand that. But I'm saying now it's more detrimental to make huge mistakes, and to have continuously have the oopsie babies, when you have an opportunity to get your money right, and you know the data is out there when you know the actual cost within itself. That's the thing. When the data's out there and you know, and you can do obviously your own research, you don't just have to listen to a random guy on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever platform you're watching this on right now, but the data's in. So the choices that you make now are going to affect your choices later on in life. It's like if you're, doing drugs now, if you're a heavy drinker now, if you have a bad diet now, it's going to catch up with you in the long run. You know what I mean? Everything catches up with you in the long run. That's why a lot more people are trying to be more healthier now. They're trying to, people, gym memberships have gone up. People are trying to eat better now because they don't want to be, they don't want to be in an unhealthy position. Like one gentleman I know, he had to because he had such a bad diet and whatnot, he had to be retired out of the military in his 20s or whatnot because of not taking care of himself. And if it was up to him, he wish he was still in uniform. And at the end of the day, yeah, health is your wealth. So let's just call it what it is. Let's call a spade on that one. All right. Because we know that the past trend, because at the end of the day, the study was done comparing the cost of living to children that were raised in the 1970s when the country saw double digit inflation. That was one of the highest times of inflation. Um, but at the end of the day, the article says a lot of people are going to think twice before they have either a first child or subsequent child because everything is costing more. This is true. This is what they people on the Hill stated. You also may feel like you have to work more. We do live in a time where more people have to work more. We live in a time where you have the quiet quitters. You live in a time where you have the great resignation because people and that's why a lot of people are opting out of doing a lot of traditional things because they want to be able to live life more on their own terms. That's why you have so many people who are moving to smaller towns, uh, moving to more rural areas so that they can buy property, cash money, and live more of a simpler life. I get it and respect it. You have more people moving to more third world countries and whatnot because the cost of living is cut in half. You have more and more people that are moving in with friends and families and things of that late nature and just renting a room out or buying a house and just renting a room out so that they can save money because they get that we live in a time frame. I think we've always lived in a time frame, but people get it more so now that we live in a time frame where priority number one should be your health and working on your wealth, and everything else comes secondary. Falling in love with somebody, raising a family. Like I said, people have been doing that since the beginning of time. But nowadays, your money has to be right. Having access to money that's other people's money in order for you to maintain and grow in life is essential. So it boggles my mind when people get older and older and they don't want to understand that process, that concept and whatnot, and they want to play the blame game. And I don't like the blame game because I'm not a politician. That's what they get paid the good money to do. I like to be a part of the solutions game. You know what I mean? But that's just me. All right. The Labor Department said that consumer price index was 9.1% higher than it was in June than that time last year, but fell slightly to 8.5% in July. This is reported by Fox News. And they also said we know it's very high right now, but we also know that the Fed is stepping on the brakes very hard and it's going to come down. We don't know how fast, to what level, and how long it will stay somewhat elevated. And the thing is, and I'm not bragging or anything of that nature, but we live in a time frame now where inflation is not affecting me for these specific reasons. I don't have student loan debt. I don't have children. Uh, what is it? A car payment. Excuse me. So I can afford to deal with the time of when inflation is getting higher and higher and higher. But I live in a time where I'm dealing with I'm working on more and more multiple streams of income all at the same time because that's not only what I'm passionate about, whether it's me doing this, the people giving me cash apps and Venmos and PayPal's, people going on my online store, people sign up with GS partners, me, my rental properties, or even my job and whatnot. But these are the things that matter the most, right, to me right now, is trying to ensure that I increase my skill sets, and I increase my value, and I increase my income all at the same time. And if I can help others do that same thing, then it's a win-win situation, or as they say down south, everything's chicken but the bone because I'm making money moves while I'm at home. All right, but at the end of the day, and like I said, now let's get into the other part of where we really get into the figures of this. All right. So for your average family that's raising two kids in today's world, for it's going to cost up to $310,000. All right, so that's one thing to take into consideration. But I find it to be very, very harder, and more people being up to their ears in debt or having to maybe live in a one-room shack and whatnot. Because according to May's 2020 National Occupation Employment and Wages estimated by the BLS, stated that the average salary in the United States of America is between 55 and $60,000. All right, now it's going to cost your average family to raise two kids up to $310,000. It's not really computing, and with inflation on the rise more so, it's not computing for me how that's going to be possible for a lot of people, unless you're going to live like a lot of people do, especially people that live in major cities, or a lot of people who immigrate to the U.S. They have two to three families living up in the house. Now, if you're comfortable with that situation, that's fine. I'm not even mad at the people that do that, because a lot of times they do that because they have to, but then they put themselves in a position of where they save money, put money into more investments, and then they're able to buy more properties and utilizing various other people's names and credit, social security numbers, and therefore that they're able to buy up the freaking block. So I'm not mad at that mindset at all either. But there's a plan in place. It's not a forever thing. But for a lot of Americans, I see this becoming a permanent thing, because a lot of Americans still have this mindset of Leave It to Beaver 1955. It's just mom and dad working, and we'll be fine. There's a handful of people that can do that, but with the average house in the United States of America, and this was as of 2020, it says $428,000. But right now, 2022, it's about $550,000 nationwide. And I got friends in like a place like Florida, in Texas is becoming way more expensive, even though they don't have the income state tax. But that those states are showing that not having income state tax is becoming kind of irrelevant if your money's not right. So, like I said, if your money's not right in California, your money's not going to be right in Texas. If your money's not right in DC, your money's not going to be right in Florida. Okay, that is something people have to take into consideration. If you're not financially literate, and you're not implementing financially literate principles, such as trying to not only increase your income and kill parts of your debt and things of that nature, but being able to live below your means, being able to have whole life insurance policies, be able to invest into stock market, bonds, cryptocurrency, being able to have a business on the side hustle, and engage with people that have that same mindset, being able to get access to business credit if you do have business and whatnot, um, ensuring that you're making the right investments and the right investment play and things of that nature. It's all about the mindset at the end of the day and how you implement it every single day. Because whether you want to believe it or not, in the United States of America, you are the CEO of your own life. You got to operate accordingly. If you have a family, the family's a part of the corporation, they have to act accordingly. You see this in a lot of immigrant family households, and that's why they're able to prosper. They own the 7-Eleven, they own the hotels, they own the other franchises, they own the landscaping companies, cleaning companies, construction companies, various other franchises, things of that nature, transportation companies, trucking companies, because the family's operating as a unit. Got a buddy of mine, him and his brother and cousin, about to buy a freaking truck. Family. Because my problem in my family is, and I will say this, they want to compete with each other instead of collaborate with each other. And they always quote EWAL University. They're all about collaboration over competition all at the end of the day, and it works. That's why do you think Troy and Rashad, Ian, if you watch it, Troy and Rashad, Ian Dunlap, Wall Street Trapper, Matt Garland, they all making money moves. They all play different parts and whatnot. They all got their different aspects, Ash Cash, all of them, and they come together as a unit because the collaboration of a competition wins the mission. Why do you think when the United States goes to war, they have allies and whatnot to help them go to war, and they kick butt? You know what I'm saying? Collaboration over competition. And that's how people have to operate. But a lot of times people don't want, they still want to hold on to that old mindset. To me, in 2022 is very obsolete, where I'm just going to do it by myself and I don't need no one's help. I think that is a very obsolete mindset. But what do I know? Okay. And more parents are going to find out about that in the long run, whether they want to or not. I'm just going to keep it real. More and more people are going to find out about this, whether they want to or not. And that's just going to be what it's going to be, family. So I'll leave it at that. But, anyways, do the great three free things, family. Like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully, you guys have a great night. To my parents out there that are doing things right outside of the basics, nothing but love and respect. Please keep up the good work out there. For a lot of people, it's going to be a long, hard road, and it is what it is. Until they like to And really, I made this video for the people that are in the age group of, I'm going to say, between 15 and 26. Now, as minors, I don't want minors having children, period. But I was in high school and I saw that, and I still see that to this day. So I'm just talking about as far as that. Practice abstinence. It's not that serious. Okay. I'll leave it at that. But to my folks that are now, I'm going to go to the legal age, and my folks that are 18 and 26, 27, whatnot, get and use that time in your life to get knowledge, get skill sets, and to get your money right and keep your money tight so that you don't have to wake up scared in the middle of the freaking night. I'm just keeping it real on that aspect. All right. You're going to do what you're going to do in your life. It is what it is. I know a lot of times when I was younger, people had to lead by example or not lead at all. I understand that. What I'm saying is you got to ask yourself the question: is your money right at age 18? Is your money right at age 18, between age 26? Most times for working people whose parents don't have a lot of money to begin with, whose parents are not leaving them real estate, whose parents don't have a business for them to work in and whatnot, and even then you still don't want to be sexually reckless. That's the thing. At the end of the day, I really want to hit the nail on the head. Even then, you do not want to be sexually reckless. Why? Because it will catch up with you in so many different ways, especially in the disease era. You're not even just mentioning having children, but in the disease era and the whole nine. And you'll talk to a bunch of parents, people who, even in my age range and whatnot, when they had kids very young, they love them to death. They've done their best to take care of them, but it was a hard struggle for them, and a lot of them are just getting on their feet to this day in the mid to late 30s, early 40s. You can get on your feet by the time you're 25, 26, 27 if you don't have that financial burden. It's the same thing even going to college and whatnot. In today's world, I don't, unless, to me, my personal opinion, I'm just keeping it real. Unless you're going to college to become a scientist, an engineer, a doctor, and I'm talking about just getting a degree, or a lawyer, okay? I don't see the point of you going to college. And if you say, well, I want to go into IT, think about getting an IT certification, maybe just getting an associate's degree. I'm just talking, do your own research. I'm not giving out any financial advice. But what I'm saying is, if there's so many, I mean, heck, there's so many online courses one can take nowadays, it's not even funny. So that's just what it is. And if you're a blue collar person, you go with your hands, you don't need college. You just go get certified in a specific trade field. Like my nephew, he's in the army and he's a certified carpenter or whatnot. He loves working outside. He loves working with his hands. That's the kind of worker he is. I'm not mad at that. So it's just something to think about. But unless you're trying to do that, there's one young man. I talked about him before. He works at the deli department. He's going to work at a company that's basically like an internship. It's a paid internship. He's going to be an electrician. He's gotten into an electrician program and whatnot. So having that certified trade, even said, yeah, because he, like, when he got out of high school, when he was leaving high school, everybody was like, yeah, you need to go to college. Just because I remember getting those speeches, but he's like, college wasn't for me. He's like, I'm a blue collar guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I remember talking to another young man who's my mechanic, and everybody was mad at him. He said his family was upset with him because he did not go to college, and he's like, I excelled at building cars. That's what I'm going to do. He's like, why would I try to excel at something I don't want to do? I want to excel at building cars. I was like, you know what? I get that and I respect that. So, he's like, why would I try to excel at anything else? And he went to, now he's a master mechanic, and he says hopefully one day he wants to own his own shop. So that's what I said. It's the mindset, thinking about it, trying to have some class and things of that nature. But so many people, you know, they just a lot of people just don't think about the finances of it all. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, by ending this off, everything has to do with a business in America. The moment you're born, birth certificate, Social Security, it's all a number. It's all traded. I believe Social Security number can be traded on the stock market. Everything, death certificate, insurance, life insurance, health insurance, everything has something to do with economics in the United States of America. But a lot of people don't want to think like that, and that's your business. All right. So on that note, family, do the great three things: like, share, subscribe. Hopefully, you guys have a great night. Remember, as I always say, make money move, or you're gonna live, bro, like a fool. Get your money right, keep your money tight. For those who are raising families, keep up the good work. For those who don't have families, take your time, think twice, make sure that he or she is the right person, and go from there. But work on your finances, work on your health, work on your wealth, and work on building up yourself so that you can not worry about just being with somebody just so you won't be happy without people. Learn how to be happy by yourself, because my mind said if you can't be happy by yourself, you can't be happy with no one else. All right. On that note, I'm out. Take care, family.
Mike, now.